Hello and welcome to the Under Centre podcast. I'm your host, Daramar, and I'm joined by my two trusty co-hosts as always, Jake Woolhead and Fionn Malloy. Lads, we're only one day away from the season starting. We finally made it. It's been a tough journey, but we're finally there. How are you guys feeling?
I've often said this is the longest part of I don't watch any other sports, so the off season is like hell for me. I hate sitting around not watching that. And then I get all this drip feeding, all the information. It's just hard to do. But now I'm excited.
Yeah, I think whatever excitement we're feeling, I'm sure our guest Colin here is feeling significantly more excited than we are. It's a big deal. So we can't wait to get going. All the pageantry, we've all got the Game Pass ready to go. So we'll be locked in right up until about 3 o'clock in the morning watching as many of the week one games as we can fit in. So
yeah, and Fionn, you do mention it. Yeah, one person that had probably a slightly tougher journey to this point is our guest for today, Carolina Panthers tight end Colin Thompson. Colin, it's great to have you on the show. Thanks so much for talking to us.
Guys, so jacked up to be here. I really appreciate you guys having me on.
No problem at all. No problem at all. Before we start, actually, first of all, congratulations are in order because you did make the 53-man roster for the Panthers this coming season. And also a second congratulations because I believe you got married during the off-season.
I did, yes. That was definitely more important than making the
53. Good year all around, some could say, though. Good year all around.
A fantastic summer. I've been Sydney and I have been dating now for about 7 years, and with football, it's not easy. You know, it's we're traveling. I've been all over, as you guys talked about before. I was with I went to the University of Florida where her and I met, and then I traveled, back home to Temple University after I transferred, and then, that's right when her and I started dating, and she stuck with me all the way through, and then the Giants, and then the Bears, and then the AAF, and then to Tampa and the XFL. So I've been truly all over the country. And now with the Panthers, a little bit settled in, I guess, a little bit, even though we're still long distance and she's in New Jersey. So, it's been quite the journey. And between getting married and making the 53-man roster, it's been a hell of a summer.
Yeah, it's grand. And don't worry if she's not listening. You don't have to say that was more important. It's okay. We'll keep this between us. It's fine. We won't tell her. It's grand. But listen, before we actually get into the interview, guys, just want to let you know that this episode today is brought to you by Horan Estates. They have been so kind to donate an NFL jersey to us. So there's still time to enter our competition. All you have to do is go to our social pages on Twitter and Instagram at UnderCenterPod. You'll see the competition details there. Make sure you do enter it because tomorrow night, Thursday, that is when the competition ends at 9 p.m. So if you haven't got your entry in yet, make sure you do it there. You could win an NFL jersey of your choice just as the season starts. And obviously, whoever wins it is going to get Thompson 86 on the back of their Panthers jersey for sure. But let's get actually straight into the show first. First of all, and Colin, I want to actually ask you about cut day that happened a couple of weeks ago, and how did you sort of feel leading up to it and probably on the day itself? Like, are you sort of one of those people that would be stuck to your phone all day hoping it doesn't ring, or would you be sort of, leaving the phone in another room and just trying to get on with things with your day?
It was funny this year. It was unique because the game was on a weekend, but cut day was on on like a Tuesday. So we were in the building, like practicing like normal, and guys were just getting plucked out, that were no longer here. So you really didn't have time to think about it. You just went about your day's business and went to the next meeting and the next meeting. And then there was less and less people in the building for about 48 hours. And then they signed the practice squad back. So I've been a part of those days before where I'm always on my phone. Yes, I'm staring at my phone the entire time. I'm tracking the cuts. I'm seeing what's going down. But to be honest, usually you get the call right in the morning when you wake up. All the calls I've gotten of getting cut are usually right away. So, yeah, it's unique for sure. And this is the first one I made out of training camp. Last year I did make the team, but they signed me a couple days later, which was unique in itself. But, hey, I'll take anywhere I can get. I could care less of what the final result is. The first result, I just want to be a part of it for the season. And, the thing about the NFL is, and that's what my podcast stands for, is not for long. And podcast is not for long media. And, you got to really be dialed in all the time because it does not last very long. It really doesn't. It's a wonderful thing, but it's so fleeting. It's 90-man rosters being cut to 53. that's do that math, right? Almost 50% of the team gets cut in half, and then there's practice squads, and then those guys get shuffled in and out, and then you're trying to find a job or, pay rent or pay a mortgage or whatever it is, and try to live a normal life, even though you're a professional athlete, especially football where things aren't guaranteed, is very unique in itself.
Yeah. And sorry,
go ahead,
Fionn, just quickly there, just because you mentioned there last year you weren't signed and then a couple of days later they re-signed you. What's the mindset like in those couple of days? Are you sort of on to agents sort of seeing if any other teams have any tight end needs, like putting feelers out there, or are you just sort of waiting and seeing if the Panthers are going to call back again?
Yeah, it's a roller coaster of emotion because you're so happy that, hey, you know what, they may bring you back, but you're also like, okay, I want to be somewhere that wants me. And I knew Carolina wanted me last year. I have a lot of great connections here in this building, and I was going to stay here. But my agent's like, hey, if somebody comes in, we'll let you know, but we want you to stay in Carolina, and so did I. And the thing last year was there was no preseason game, so I wasn't really going to get claimed, and that's probably part of the reason why I was let go is, I knew I wasn't going to be claimed. I didn't play in any preseason games. They weren't public because of COVID, so I had the opportunity to kind of hide out a little bit, and they put some guys on injured reserve that need to be put on injured reserve, obviously, and that's how I got in. So yeah, I mean, it's not like I was really wanted to go anywhere else, but your agents, prep you for anything that could happen, and that's why you hire them, because that's a lot. It's way above your pay grade. You don't need to worry about that stuff.
And when you have that contrast between one camp where you don't quite make it, and then obviously, like you said, get signed up a couple of days later, versus this one straight in on cut day, how does it feel as you're going through training camp? Do you get a read yourself naturally of like, oh, I think I'm struggling a little bit here this year versus this current year? Did you feel more comfortable? Did it feel like you were going to make it, or like how was your mentality as you were going through the preseason?
It's a great question. No, for me, I don't know if I ever felt like, yeah, I'm going to make this team. I just felt like I was a part of the team, and it is what it is at the end. I know that kind of is a vague way to respond back to it, but it's really truth. Like, you're just going about your days. You can't really think about too much. You have to stay in the moment because it's such a long training camp. If you look at a calendar, it's going to give you anxiety. It's 5 weeks long, 6 weeks long before the season. You're there in July. The season doesn't start until mid-September. So it's unique in that aspect, and you're just taking it day by day and seeing how it goes and trying to be the best version of yourself. That's the only thing that you really can guarantee yourself.
I guess
trying to be something you're not, you're going to struggle. Go ahead.
Sorry, that's my little follow up as well. Is it really self-focused, or are you looking at other guys around going, okay, how are they doing? How's the coach reacting to this, that, and the other? Or is it really just so manic, so busy that you're really just focused on yourself, every single rep that you can do, maximize it, and leave everyone else to do what they do?
I think that happens just by, having stance. You're going to notice things that are going on around you, but it doesn't really affect your day-to-day. It doesn't affect how I do my process. I try to figure out what works for me, and I stick with it. I really don't try to reinvent the wheel. Knowing who I am and, what my traits are as a player, probably, what I try to say is my best attribute, because I know what I am. I'm going to work on what I need to work on, but I'm really going to work on what I'm good at, because, that's why I'm here. I'm more of a blocking physical tight end. The minute I stop doing that is the minute I lose my job. So I'm not trying to be anybody I'm not, that's for sure.
Colin, just a quick question there, kind of building on that. Obviously, you've been a part of some of these cut days, and everybody, like kind of the bubble guys, they're kind of, everybody's desperate to make the roster. There's obviously a level of competition between you guys, but is there still that teammate kind of pushing each other forward kind of aspect of it?
Yeah, no doubt. I think we all are, honestly. Like, we kid around about like the cutting part and all that stuff, like in our building. It's almost like we don't talk about it, and it's not like it's on our minds, but it's more of just pushing each other along, because you won't get anywhere if you just say, hey, we may get cut. I'm not going to build these relationships. I may be gone. You just build the relationships. You act like it's a normal football team. And then all of a sudden, a couple of weeks later, half of you aren't in the building. And that's what the real struggle is being in the building. It feels normal. You just go and you have those relationships and you have those conversations and you're back in your normal routine. But then I've been the guy many, many, many times, more than I've made it, that is on the car ride home and driving themselves 10, 15, whatever, 20 hours home, or they're flying home across the country, or, they're living in a suitcase, and all those relationships and all those things that you had are gone. That's a really struggle, is the mental health side of it is, okay, I just gave my body, gave my life to this sport, and now I'm not wanted anymore. And your agent tells you, hey, listen, we got to wait and see what happens. It's going to be a couple weeks, and then that's really tough. So I've been on both ends of it, and it's this one's a lot more fun than the other. But I don't know if I'd be here today if it wasn't for those times I've been cut.
Mm-hmm. And Colin, you mentioned two things that I want to kind of wrap up into one question, if I can. You mentioned that your pros as a player are obviously your physicality and your blocking. And of course, you made the team last season, but not only did you make the team, you scored an NFL touchdown, something that me and the lads can only dream of. I went back and I watched the tape on that. And obviously it's a heavy set, strong run look, and you kind of peeled out, wheeled around to the back. As that play is being called in the huddle, what are the nerves like? Do you know you're getting the ball? Is the excitement coming? Or are you like, okay, let's see how this plays out? I just want to know what goes through your head as you score an NFL touchdown.
Honestly, it's funny. So over the years, that's how I've scored a lot of my touchdowns on those plays, a lot of play action, a lot of things like that. I'm not going to, in man-to-man coverage, run by somebody and look like Travis Kelce or Kittle or, you name them, the best guys in the league. So I've scored a couple times that way where it's like, hey, we're either going to throw you the ball or we're going to throw it out of bounds. It's a 1-for-1 situation. We're kind of all in on the play. So, there's some self-talk about just, hey, trust your technique, trust the work you put in, trust your preparation. It's going to be fine. So, that's how it went. And my buddy Ian Thomas kind of slapped me on the butt right there and said, hey, man, this is the one, and let's go. I'll see you in the end zone. Yeah, just fake the run, and we run the run play a ton. It's just the straight, double teams at the point of attack. It's a Le'Veon Bell run that everyone remembers in Pittsburgh, where he kind of hesitates and then he hits it, for whatever he hits it for. It's that run, but it's the pass off of it. I was telling the story on a podcast earlier. I was so jacked, when I scored, and it was an unbelievable feeling. And I remember going to the sideline and like, wow, Rob Gronkowski's on that sideline. And I scored a touchdown, and he didn't. Well, fast forward till later in the game, they ran the same play, and he scored he scored. So, I was like, man, I thought too soon in my head. So it was tremendous and an unbelievable thing to be embraced by my teammates, my family, my friends. And it was a big day for everybody, and my family and friends and the coaches and the people that have helped me along the way, because I'm truly a product of them. And, I scored, and that's cool and all, but it really is for everybody, to kind of celebrate together, because it took a lot of people to get me to this point.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely. And obviously in Carolina, there's a pretty, famous guy, you could say, that played in your position for the Panthers for many years, Greg Olsen. And he was there at camp a couple of weeks ago, sort of delivering a speech to the team. And, what was it like hearing from such a legendary player in your position, sort of, talk you through, like, sort of, I'm assuming talk you through, like, how he played the game?
Yeah, I mean, even the stuff off the field, right? We'll get on the field stuff, but like, he's a Hall of Famer. He'll be in the Ring of Honor, and he's just, off the field what I'm probably striving to be. He's in the media and communications world. He's going to be calling games this year, national televised football games in the NFL. I mean, that's awesome. And he actually called one of my XFL games, when he was in and out of the league and starting to get some preparation for that. So there's a guy who's worked on his career, post, career while he's doing his current career, and that's something I'm interested in. And then, he's one of the best to ever do it on the field, right? He's a legend in Carolina. He's a legend in the NFL when it comes to tight ends. And, his message was pretty straightforward. As guys, I miss this game. I miss the camaraderie. I miss the locker room. I miss the teammates, but my body doesn't miss it. And I don't miss the 2 days and all the stuff like that. So yeah, he's a beast. And, Greg, like I said, is a Hall of Famer. And the more you can learn from Greg, the better. He's got a wealth of knowledge. He's played in, a lot of different systems, even though Carolina was straight through. And these guys have played for so many people, man. They're just brilliant. Their minds just click differently. And yeah, someone I look up to and always have looked up to. He's an absolute stud.
Colin, you mentioned there the XFL, and of course you also played in the AAF as well. How did those experiences differ from the experience of the NFL? Of course, they were new teams, right? So they didn't have the same facilities necessarily as the NFL teams, but there was a lot of ex-NFL talent there in terms of coaching and management of the teams. How did you find the differences between that experience and now your current experience?
Yeah, so I'll start with the NFL, and it's a great question because they're all completely different. So the NFL obviously is the top pay and the top facility and the top food and travel and all that, right? And then the next level is you'll have the XFL, which is the top facility in that lower level version of football. Like we stayed in some spring minor league baseball stadiums. We would practice in there, and we had 3 grass fields, and we had awesome weight room, and we fed 2 meals a day. So that operationally things were great for that level, but the pay wasn't that great. And then the AAF, the pay was really good. It was practice squad NFL money. And then the operations of the facility weren't that great. Now they got the job done, and if you're a professional, you can handle it. But for example, like in Birmingham where I played, like we literally had bathrooms, and if you wanted to go number 2, there was no doors in the stall, and the stalls were only 4 feet high. So if you were sitting down, some of us could look over the stall and wave to the next guy, or you could look straight ahead and the guy was going to the bathroom right in front of you. So, it was really unique in that sense. I loved it though. Like every minute of it, it was incredible. And like some guys would complain, and I get that. Like, but what would you want to be doing? You'd rather be at your house right now? Would you rather be home? We're playing football. They put a ball down. It's on film. It's on tape. And a lot of us got NFL workouts and tries out of it. And I wouldn't have been here today without it. I was again on a podcast earlier telling the story. I got into the AAF because I knew a coach who sat behind my mom in homeroom growing up in high school. And then that same guy, a recruiting person who worked under him, he worked at the University of Florida where I started, and we had a great relationship. And he said, I want you to come and be one of our guys down here. You're going to help this team win. So when I get to Birmingham, I connect with my buddy Brendan again. And then from there, I meet my buddy Ron. And then Ron, when the AAF folds, goes to the Tampa Bay Vipers and works for them in their football operations. And then he says, hey, you got to bring this guy named Colin Thompson in. So that's how I ended up in Tampa. I played well in Tampa enough. And then the Carolina Panthers called, right? So, like, it's all about connections and who you know and playing well and performing. And, yeah, it's funny. It's quite the journey. All the leagues are very unique.
Well, look, we pay cash money to play American football on a soccer pitch with 2 pads and a whole pile of cones. So I can appreciate you can play football wherever you want to play football if you've got the desire and the love for the game. So that's pretty cool to hear.
No doubt. And I definitely, can I come play over there? Do we go for?
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah. Hang on. Only if he signs an exclusive contract with the North Dublin Pirates. I am not playing against Colin Thompson.
Hey, can we get some Guinnesses after? Like, that's all I want financially.
Absolutely. Oh, yeah. We'll go to the Guinness storehouse if you want. We'll close the thing down.
We how'd you look in orange and white? Do you like orange and white?
Hey, listen. For the right price of a couple of Guinnesses and a couple of good bites to eat, I'll play for whatever.
Well, we like to have a treasure chest after our home games, and we'll make sure we fill it with enough cans of Guinness just to make sure. We'll put it in the contract that you get your own treasure chest if you want, but we'll just take the other one. It's fine.
Perfect. I love it.
But I want to actually ask you about the team's preparations this year. You have it's Coach Rule is definitely getting his feet under the table there now with the team, and new quarterback there now with Sam Darnold, and I'm sure he's looking forward to Sunday more than anyone else for his revenge game against the Jets. And how has things been like for Darnold settling into the team?
Oh, I mean, I don't want to speak for him, but I'll say this, it's been great for me getting to know Sam. He's a guy who's young, but has played a ton of football, which is a really unique situation. He came into NFL at a really young age and has played a lot of football. So, like I said, our relationship is great, and he's someone I've gotten to know, and he's a friend of the team, and you can tell he's got great leadership qualities, athletically. I think the one thing that shocked me with Sam is how fast he is. And I told us, I'm like, man, he can run. So look for him to scramble a little bit this year. I mean, it's no secret to NFL people, but I was shocked. I never really thought of him as like somebody who can run with it, but he can take off. He's got some really good wheels. Definitely faster than me, but that's not saying much. That's not something he's like hanging on his mantle by any means. So, no, he's just, he's going to have a great year. We got to do our part to keep him protected. And, just like any good quarterback, right? Protection's key, and protect him and make sure he's got all the tools he needs to be successful. We have a lot of great skill players as well, and a great offensive line and a great team. Complementary football is key. Great defense and special teams, and all the great teams, all 3 phases do really well, and that's what we're trying to do this year in Carolina.
Yeah, definitely. I think his pace is definitely an underutilized thing, because I think it was last season against the Broncos. I think he had a run. I think it was like 40, 50-yard run, and like he put the afterburners on that one. He was deceptively fast in that, and the Broncos couldn't keep up with him at all. But that's great to hear. One other question that I wanted to ask you quickly as well was, when are you getting invited to the tight ends university?
I guess like catching for more touchdowns. Probably that's the first thing. It's really cool what they're doing. You know, they had 50 of the best tight ends in the NFL get together, and you know, they had a good time. They got to learn the game. They did. Now you're having a sip of your beer there. I know they had plenty of fun sipping some beer and that. I don't know how much football they did. No, I just heard of one of the players say that on a podcast. They had a great time. So TJ Hawkinson, I was listening to McAfee interview with him, and that was really cool. They were talking about the summit, and they got to learn a little bit of everything, which is really unique. But I'll probably have to create my own for the 4th and 3rd string tight end. That's the best way I'll be able to invite it to one of their summits. That's for sure.
We'll have it over in Ireland. Have it over in Ireland, and then you can have a few beers, a few bites to eat, and stuff like that. And we'll help you set it up. It'll be all good.
Perfect. We'll run we're gonna right at your field, right at the soccer pitch there.
There, Gaelic football pitch. Actually, now we have more Gaelic football pitches than soccer over here, so that's what we train on.
I love it.
Colin, I just had a quick question as well off you. Obviously, you've played a lot of ball, and you have to have some idol or some players that you have looked up to over the years. Have you got anybody in mind, or is there kind of a few people?
Yeah, there's a few, but one in particular, and that's Jason Witten. He's been someone that I've been, growing up in Philadelphia, you're an Eagles fan. You're not supposed to like the Cowboys, and thankfully that wasn't the case with me. I was able to. My parents were like who you like, and my parents were Steelers fans, and they were Eagles fans and Giants, and we liked everyone kind of in our area. We've had some friends that coach for those teams, so we supported them, and I got to see it from a homely perspective, just a true NFL fan. So, yeah, I was a big Jason Witten fan. I still am a big Jason Witten fan. I've seen a ton of his tape. I have, been just a fan of how he handled himself off the field. I've been a fan how he is, prolonged his career for so long. I mean, the guy, I think, missed like one game, and it was early in his career, and it was like crazy injury, and he still came back and played the next week with it. So goes to show you his toughness level, his preparation, his work ethic, what he does with his body, and that's someone I try to embody. And again, I mentioned off the field, the guy's an unbelievable philanthropist. He has camps, he has all these different things going on. So Jason Witten, I've watched tons and tons of hours of his reps of the film and his routes, and the Y option route he runs so well, and so many different things. He's an absolute beast. As a kid, I was a Jeremy Shockey fan, Antonio Gates, Tony Gonzalez. I was able to watch a lot of really good tight ends growing up. And then guys around the league now, I'm fans of a ton of different players. Even guys that left us last year. That's Chris Manhertz, is probably not a household name when it comes to tight ends. He was at the tight end summit. So I guess he is a household name, and he's, my opinion, the best blocking tight end in the NFL. He's so good. He's with Jacksonville. And then you got a George Kittle. So I respect all the guys, but I watch the guys that block a little more than they do catch. That's for sure. Or they do both. Kittle.
As a Giants fan, and I'm sure Fionn can attest to this, watching Jason Witten consistently be open on 3rd and 9 or 3rd and 12 was sickening. How often he got that ball and got that first down. It was just so hard to watch. Just speaking of the Giants then as well, obviously you came out of Temple 2017, signed with the Giants. I just wanted to ask you quickly, why would you choose the Giants over other organizations? Because as an undrafted free agent, the rare kind of positive you have there is that, one, you get to sign with an NFL team, and it can be any team that wants to sign you. So why would you go and choose a great organization that's much better than the Washington football team? But why would you go for the Giants over some other teams?
Well, I don't know if I agree with that. I think they're all equal. All 32 of them are wonderful places.
You have to say that.
Yeah. So, for me, it was a no-brainer. The Giants are one of the Blue Bloods, first-class organization in the NFL. They're not all like that, and I've been lucky the teams I play for are all first-class, and they handle it the right way, in my opinion. But not everyone has been so lucky. I'm fortunate. I really am. So, yeah, there wasn't a ton of teams coming out. We thought I was going to get drafted late. I went from literally nothing to maybe unsigned to, okay, you're definitely going to be an unsigned free agent to, you may get drafted here in the 6th or 7th round. You got to see what happened and what a need is for a team. So I didn't get drafted, and I think it came down to a couple of different teams. I think Oakland was in there, and the Rams were in there, and the Giants, but nothing crazy from those other teams. It was primarily the Giants really wanted me to come in and be a part of what they're doing there. So absolute no-brainer. It's an hour and a half from my house, 2 hours, and it's local, it's home. So it was an easy decision for me. I mean, that was the easiest decision I ever make. I don't even think I had a decision. My agents kind of made it for me that we're going to New York. So it was good for me, and I wish I would have lasted longer there. I had emergency appendectomy, and my appendix was ready to rupture, and I had to be rushed into surgery, and that's kind of what happened. It's a tough ending because I loved it up there. I ended up going back up there for another mini camp, and get to see everybody again. But I didn't make the team then, and they didn't sign me. And life goes on. I'm here now, and I'm having the opportunity to get to play them again this year. So that's gonna be really cool.
That's it. I want to talk a little bit about your own podcast. You mentioned it briefly earlier on, the Not For Long podcast. You've had some quite inspirational guests. Like recently, you've had Brian Dickerson. You've had some obviously well-known names around in the NFL, but there's one podcast in particular that I was listening to and I want to speak to about because it relates to me, and that's when you had Malcolm Reed on. Because I am a big I hate saying the phrase, but it's the only one I can say, foodie. I hate that phrase, but I'm a big boy and I love my food. And just hearing you talk about just barbecue stuff from all different parts of America for about an hour was just I shouldn't have listened on an empty stomach. I'll just say that much.
I love it, man. Thanks for listening. I mean, that's what we try to do with the podcast. I mean, I've had everyone from Christian McCaffrey on to Malcolm Reed. He's a barbecue pitmaster, the one you listen to my strength coach with the Carolina Panthers, to Nell Fordner, who's a Georgia Tech women's basketball head coach, Adam Schefter. We had Brian Dickinson on, like you said. He climbed Mount Everest and then lost his sight and climbed back down Mount Everest blind. I mean, it literally was like, as you guys know, as pros in this business, you shouldn't be ever lost for words. And I was like, I don't even know what to say right now, Brian. I know this is unprofessional. It was unbelievable. Yeah. Had a Benny Fowler on, Super Bowl champ, Colin Gillespie, he's a point guard for Villanova, and a little bit of everything. I always say it's like Joe Rogan without the weed, booze, and 80 million. So that's kind of the way we do it here. And I've had comics on, and this week came out with Chris Long, who won Super Bowls with the Patriots and the Eagles, and he's a legend in the media industry as well. He's got a great podcast, and so I like it. It's fun for me. And when I got cut from the Giants, I was like, man, the NFL stands for not for long. Really, like I was only here for 2 months and 3 months or whatever it was. And I'm like, oh, that's what I'm going to call my podcast. I'm going to go from there. And we just got our first shipment of apparel in and stickers, and we're going through all that process. And it's been fun. The challenge of doing it in season is something, but for me, like I only spend about an hour a week on it. Because I have a great team, and as you guys know, you guys are a team, and you have people behind the scenes, I'm sure, helping you out as well, because without them you can't have a product. The man hours are just a lot to do. So I'm lucky to have a great team. I got 4 individuals that all work for me that are really good at what they do and make me look really good, and everyone's like, you're always on my timeline, you're always tweeting and posting, and like, how do you do it while you're playing? I'm like, I don't do it. That's well, I just retweet it and say thank you. So it's been fun, man. Appreciate you guys asking about it.
So, which part of the country is your favorite barbecue? And be wary, you are in one of them, so you have to be careful about which one you answer.
Carolina. I'm in Carolina. Yeah, I mean, I love Carolina sauce. I think it'd be my first one. Carolina barbecue is delicious too. Don't get me wrong. I mean, I like them all. I'll be honest with you. There's not one that they rank for me like, oh, sorry, like Memphis barbecue isn't good enough. Like, no, they're delicious. I think for me though, like I'm a huge salt and pepper guy. Like, and let the smoke do the work. So we get the big green egg at the house, so we'll just salt and pepper everything up, and then I love a Carolina vinegar sauce. So it's a combination of probably 2 worlds there for me. A little salt and pepper, which is Texas style, and then the Carolina vinegar. So, and that's not a politically correct answer either. That's just being honest. Nothing better than a good vinegar sauce.
Colin, I bought the mini green egg that I have out the back garden that I'm just getting used to. So if you have any good tips, let me know.
Dude, this guy Malcolm Reed, I'm telling you what, go nowhere else. Like, I've tried it. I'm not saying I'm sure you got recipes and you got people you're following, but like I was such a bad smoker. And literally I just watch this guy on YouTube who's got millions of followers across all of his platforms. And he's won so many awards, and he just lays it out for you. Like whatever piece of meat, he's done it like 4 different ways, 4 different times, from pork butt to brisket. to burn ends to whatever. Like you're gonna get on there and be like, okay, my mouth's watering. Kind of similar situation was happened on an empty stomach. But like you're gonna be like, okay, now I know what I want to do. Like that looks really good. So, just go to how to barbecue right. Or you can listen to our podcast too. Like he's smoked wings, like everything is good, man. You can buy his mixes and all his like barbecue rubs, and I don't change it. I literally follow exactly what he does. People are like, oh, mix it up. I'm like, this is like baking, man. You can't just do like an extra stick of butter. Probably you could do that with barbecue. You could do that for sure. But some extra baking powder, for lack of a better term, and like the thing's gonna explode. So yeah, check out Malcolm, man. How to barbecue right.
My mouth's already watering just thinking about it.
I'm dying over here for dinner. I'm just like, it's late for you guys, but it's getting close to dinner time here. And man, oh man, I'm gonna have to put a little steak on and do a Malcolm.
Yeah, definitely. Have you ever watched what's this, Sam the cooking guy on YouTube?
No.
Seen any of his recipes? He's a guy you should look up on YouTube, and he does a lot of stuff. Like he owns a couple of restaurants in LA, and he makes his own sort of stuff. And he, it's not only barbecue; it's other things that he'll do, but he'll do it all on his flat top barbecue outside as well. But it's really good. It's well worth checking out.
The flat top is like the new thing. I have a Blackstone at the house. I mean, not at my house now, but that I'm renting down here during the season. But man, oh man, I can't wait to get home and use the Blackstone. The Blackstone, the flat top grill outside is like. It's like cheating. It's like cheating.
Oh, definitely. One more question before we let you go, and it is a non-football question again. But I do hear you are a soccer fan, and you are a fan of Tottenham Hotspur.
Hotspur, baby.
So, are you happy with how the season started? 3 wins from 3. I don't think it can get much better than that.
No, Harry Kane's still around. For now, hopefully for a while, and big win over Man City to start the year off. Yeah, so. It's funny. I visit Key West, Florida, southernmost point in the United States, continentally, southernmost point in Florida. And I have some friends there and some locals. And yeah, like I wanted to always get in Premier League, always wanted to. And I had a friend who's a Liverpool fan, and like they went on this crazy run and obviously they won it. And that's right when I started watching a lot, right, 2 years ago. And I'm like, I can't be a Liverpool fan. Like, I'll put the jersey on with you, man. Like, give me a hat. Like, I'm in. Like, it's great. I'm all for this. And that's the nice thing is I get to pick. Like, this is fun. Usually, you get in the Northeast,
local area.
Yeah, it's all your area, right? Like local area. So I'm like, okay, well, it's gonna come to me. I can't be a Liverpool fan. I want the perfect team for kind of like what I like, which is like a team that can be good, but they're not always great. And, but like, hopefully they can make a run and be good. And I didn't even think that. I was like, maybe I could do that, but we'll see where it goes. So I go to Key West. I ran into 3 friends. One is lives right there, right next to the stadium where he grew up. He's a fisherman in Key West. One's a banker. He came in wearing a Hotspur jacket, like a sweet jacket, like an off color of their team. It was so cool. And the next one's like, do you want to come to this, Irish pub in Key West called Shanna Key and, have some pints and watch the Tottenham game. I'm like, sure. And I went in there and there was a bunch of Tottenham fans. I'm like, well, here's my team. Let's go. So I'm dialed in. Like I don't know everybody yet, but I'm trying to slowly get there. And for me, like when, the off season hits, it's like February and that's perfect. Right. Then towards the middle end of the Premier League season. And I love it. Like I'm starting to learn more about it and get into it more and become more of a soccer fan.
Yeah. And did you watch their All or Nothing series on Amazon as well?
So that is on my docket to list and download this season. I hear good things, though.
It's fun, especially because, like, obviously the old manager, Jose Mourinho, was there. It's entertaining watching him now, to be fair. It is, for sure. But no, that's great. And look, listen, we're probably going to wrap it up here soon. But Colin, thanks so much for taking the time to speak to us. I know it's a busy week getting ready for the first game of the season. And we really appreciate the time you're taking to speak to us today.
Anytime, guys. I really appreciate you having me on. Anytime you need me, let me know. Should be a message.
Excellent stuff. And just before we do let you go, if people are interested to listening to Not For Long podcast, where can they find it?
Yeah, so any social media outlet. We're on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. Just check it out, Not For Long Media. And we're on YouTube. We have a great YouTube presence as well. All our interviews, you can see them just like you guys are doing. You can hear them on anywhere you get podcasts, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, whatever that may be, SoundCloud. So check us out, Not For Long Media. Like I said, $80 million short. No booze and no weed, but some great interviews. Good time.
Yeah, that's it. And look, we're just the lower thing. We've got the one great guest in yourself. We haven't got multiple great guests, and then we're missing well, we have one bit of booze here today.
We do occasionally have booze, yeah.
We do occasionally have booze.
I find the booze is good. We have a booze sponsor, so they do the job. Yeah.
If they're looking to sponsor another show, you know where to send them anyway.
Absolutely.
We could do it the free drinks.
Absolutely. Maybe just like us when we're done playing on the pitch.
That's it for sure. That's it. We'll fill the pirate chest with them. That's what we'll do. But yeah, guys, that is where we're going to wrap up this show. Before we do go, again, we do have our competition going on. You have one more day left to enter it to win a free NFL jersey of your choice. Go to our social pages, Instagram @UnderCenterPod, the same on Twitter @UnderCenterPod. You'll see the pinned tweet there of how to enter the competition. Same on our Instagram. Just click on the photo with our competition there. Make sure you are following our page to be in with a chance to win. We will announce the winner on Thursday evening. Before we go, also as well, if you prefer the audio side of the show, you can listen to us. Just go to Under Center Podcast wherever you get your podcasts. You'll find us there too as well. Jake and Fionn, thanks as always, my friends.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for having us. Thanks, Colin, for coming on.
Anytime, boys. Appreciate you guys, man.
And we will be back again with another show tomorrow, previewing the season opener between the Cowboys and the Buccaneers. We're going to have some great guests on: Craig Ullman of The Athletic and Kyle Humans from Talking Cowboys Radio. But until then, stay safe and we'll see you soon.